Hi everyone, good morning. This is Geri. So today let's talk about a very a very sensational topic, yet very important topic. Let's talk about the vaccine. So the COVID-19 vaccine. And why am I talking about this? So as you know, I've been more active online and I've been like talking to a whole lot more people, especially reaching out to my friends and relatives, and that's all good, right? um, but usually when you just start talking to new people, what happens is that the first topic of conversation out of the normal hi and hello is how are the numbers up there, and it always goes as, yeah, numbers here are going up, and not sure when it's gonna go down, and you know and I think I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I think the scientist in me just responds automatically and says that, oh yeah, the numbers are going up and they're gonna continue to go up, and the numbers, I mean, and the variants are gonna continue to exist. There are gonna be more variants in the future, and so that's just the reason why I'm making this video, is because of those conversations. And I feel like I need to be true to myself, because a few videos ago I made a video about sharing your story, and so that way other people can learn from you, and I just want to be true to that statement. I want to make sure that I'm setting up a good example, that I'm putting myself out there. I know there's going to be a lot of comments and a lot of criticisms, like with my other videos, but it's okay. It's really your observation, and I appreciate you for everything that you provide feedback to me, and for all the feedback that you provide to me. So anyways, that's the reason why I am doing this video. um, Again, I'm not sure if I'm actually, like, I do the testing. I do the testing for the swab test. I do the testing for the antigen test. I do the testing for the antibody test, for your total and your for your IgG and your total. Basically IgG and IgM test. So I do those testings. I do the molecular testing, the PCR testing. I look at the CT value, the envelope, and all that. So I do those testings on a routine basis. It's something that I do almost every day when I'm at work. It's just something that occurs to me naturally. The other main reason that I feel like I should be sharing this, I feel like this is my professional obligation to the public, is not only that I'm a lab scientist, I'm also a public health advocate, and I want to share my information so that other people can learn from it too, or maybe just trigger ideas or something like that. But this information that I'm sharing to you guys is nothing more than just sharing information. I'm not here to influence you. I'm not here to convince you. I just want to provide some clarifications, because at least most of the people who I spoke with had some confusion about it. And if your choice is not to vaccinate, that's not, that's totally your decision. There's nobody stopping you from that, or at least I won't be stopping you from that. That's ultimately up to you. You have to make a decision for you and your family whether to vaccinate or not, and there's no shame in that. You're just protecting your family. The other thing that I want to make sure that I make clear is that I encourage you to ask questions, because I really want to make sure that you guys have a full picture of it. On my website, actually, if you want to send me either on the YouTube comment below or on my website, you can send me a personal message, and I would try to get back to you as soon as I can. It's www.geripodkowa.com, and you can hit me up on my website, and I'll catch up with you as soon as I can. All right. So anyways, so that's the reason why I'm doing the video. So the reason why I respond that way to the questions that I got, or to the statements that I get, is that there are gonna be variants. Virus, they're really not living things, but they need to survive. And in order for them to survive, they're gonna constantly go through mutation, and because they want to survive, so they're gonna know, one way or another, they know that in order for them to survive at certain points in time, they're just gonna make develop new things. Or like for us people, we develop new skills. We let go of the old habits and we develop new skills. So same thing for them too. They're going to develop some new things so that they can become more potent, more infectious, more more can be easily contagious, stuff like that. And that's just normal for virus because they constantly change, and there's nothing we can do about that. And I'm not sure if people actually know that COVID-19 is not just COVID-19. There's like different strains on it. In fact, the World Health Organization had I think they had recommended the Greek letter or Greek letters or something like that to use for the variants, so that way we can track, they can track it better. We also do gene sequencing. Just want to make sure that I put it out there that at my work we also do the testing for gene sequencing, which is basically sequencing the gene of whatever the DNA, the RNA of that virus, so that way we can know what variant it is, right? So we're already at the Delta. How many there are first, right? Because if we're already at the Delta, that means we already had Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and I think there's some Eta and Iota too. ETA and IOTA for the other variants. So just just kind of putting it out there, making everything realize that it's not really gonna stop without intervention. So there's two ways that this is basically gonna happen. Is that you're gonna have exposure to the COVID-19 virus, or you're gonna have an exposure. You're gonna have the vaccine. In either way, you're gonna develop antibodies, and we're hoping that even in the exposure, the natural exposure, that you're gonna have, your immune system is gonna be strong enough to develop antibodies and to fight off that virus, right? To fight off that COVID-19. The vaccine is like a controlled version of it, that you get the vaccine so that way it can emulate what the virus would be doing, but it's really not a virus anymore because it's weakened, it's lyophilized, it's attenuated anymore. I couldn't say that it's dead because, like I said, virus is not a living thing, and the only thing that dies are living things. So if a virus is not a living thing, it cannot die, but it could be disabled, right? So just want to make sure that that's clear too. So anyways, so those are the two things. So you either have rendezvous I guess rendezvous with a vaccine person, giving you the vaccine, or you get a rendezvous with a COVID-19 exposure. Those are the only two things that can actually help eradicate this COVID-19. There's really no other way. It's a virus. It's yeah. I don't want to go into the specifics of the longevity of the virus and the tenacity of the virus, because that's another topic, but I just want to make sure that it's clear that those are the only two ways that you can get immunity from it. And you could potentially not be affected if at least 80% of the population in the whole world has received vaccine, or part of the people have part of the population had received the vaccine, or part of the population had been exposed. So they, both sides would develop immunity to it. And unless we reach a certain amount of number of people, that's about 80% is where it usually is the best, where we could actually say that we have some herd immunity. Until then, though, we're not going to get that, and we're going to continue making more exposure. And like I said, it's totally up to you and how you want to get, those are the two things that you can get exposure, or you can get the rendezvous with, right? So anyways, there's two types of vaccine. One is a vector vaccine, and the other one is an mRNA vaccine. So it's the RNA, the type of RNA is M, which means it's a messenger vaccine, messenger RNA. So the other one's a vector vaccine, and then the mRNA vaccine. So it's I actually wrote a blog on it on my website. It's www.geripodkowa.com/blogs, and you can look at the two types of COVID-19 vaccine. Yeah, but the vaccines are so new. You know, the vaccines are so early, and they're still on clinical trials and all that. But yes, that's true. They're still in clinical trials, and in fact, I think the Pfizer just got theirs FDA approved. So I'm pretty sure if it's FDA approved in the U.S., it's going to be FDA approved soon in the in many parts of the world. We have FDA in the U.S. has the most stringent rules and regulations. But nonetheless, let's go over those rules and regulations so that way you have an understanding of what those are. So when I had to write this down because I don't wanna misquote it. So according to FDA, there's 4 phases of clinical trials. And what are the clinical trials? So we do clinical trials when we have to determine how drugs and devices are going to, if they're going to be safe or effective, right? Especially if they're new ones. The second thing is we want to study different ways on how to administer it. Maybe it's good intramuscularly, or maybe it's good intravenously or oral or something like that. So these are for the things that we're already doing right now, but we're just finding other ways so that we can use it for other ways that are more convenient, right? And then the other thing, the other reason why we do clinical trials is so that way we can use it for other people too, not just for the intended people. Let's just say it was originally for adults, but now we're testing it for children, right? So those are the reasons why we would do clinical trials. Like I said, there are 4 phases of the clinical trials. The first phase is usually, I don't even know, there's very, very few people I think that that are only required to do a phase 1 trial, which is I think less than 100 or maybe 100 to 200, something like that. But it's very few people who would be volunteers, and they would be the healthy volunteers or volunteers who already have the disease or the condition that the drug or the device is intended for to be used. So that's the phase 1. It usually takes about several months. It doesn't specifically say how many months, how long it is, but it just says several months, right? That's the phase 1. Obviously, the main purpose of those is to determine, and actually in all phases, to be honest, I think all phases, the main thing is to determine safety and efficacy. Efficacy just means the dosages and at what dosage it's effective, to be given to people, to different people, female, male, children, certain age, or elders, certain age. So that's the phase 1. Phase 2 is it basically is I think it's anywhere from 100 to maybe 300 people for the phase 2. So clinical trials, phase 2. So that's the same thing. It has the efficacy, but at this time, the phase 2 is basically looking into more. The same thing would be the safety and then the efficacy, but it's also looking for really bad common adverse effects, like those things. So like if there was death or fatality or hospitalization or stuff like that, that's where you're gonna see most of the those side effects is in phase 2 clinical trials. So just to kind of give you a little bit of picture, I think only 70% of the phase 1 clinical trials go into phase 2, and then only about 30 some percent of the phase 2 goes into phase 3. So phase 3 is basically the number of study participants. Again, this would be people who have the disease already or have the condition which the drug or device is intended to be used for. It's probably going to be about 300 to 3,000 people that are in that study, basically in that clinical trial program. And again, part of it is to the part of the clinical trial is to determine the efficacy of it. And in this time, since in the phase 2 they already found out what the common adverse I guess short-term occurring side effects were. In the phase 3, they're looking for the long-term rare side effects that could happen, and even if it's rare, even if it's long-term, or even if it's small, it could also be adverse. So they're looking for all those in the phase 3 clinical trial, and also the same thing for the safety and efficacy. I think it's also where they determine if the product is actually beneficial for the target patient, target population for it. So that's the phase 3. And phase 4 is actually, it means that there's several thousands who have the conditions, are the main study participants, and this is only carried out when the drug or device has been approved for use by the FDA. So essentially, the actual phases before it actually goes into market for use is only in phase 1 to, the actual clinical trial phases that you would have before it goes to production for population use would be phase 1, 2, and 3. And in phase 2 and phase 3, it can actually be implemented to people already, especially if there's an emergency use authorization. And the emergency use authorization, it's a broad thing. It obviously it only happens when there's emergency, and the main thing for that is that it's a public health effort to make sure that we strengthen and protect the nation's public health, so that way we can be protected against threats including biological, chemical, radiological, nuclear, and also infectious diseases. So that's why we have the emergency authorization use. I think I said that backwards earlier. Emergency authorization use. But anyways, so Pfizer now has received their FDA, right? Approval for use. Moderna is already on phase 3, and they're seeking for approval now. I'm not sure of all the other ones, but it would be really wise if you look up the vaccine that you're gonna receive and just go, find out more information about it. And if you find out the information about it, then maybe decide for yourself. Do you want to wait, or do you wanna wait for rendezvous with the COVID-19 virus, or you wanna have a rendezvous with the person giving the vaccine? So it's really, like I said, it's ultimately up to you. This is just sharing information, and whatever it is that you decide, it's really up to you, because it's your family. You're advocating for yourself and for your family. Those are just, I don't want to go over too long, but those are just the main things that I want to make sure that everyone understands. Let's just say for Moderna, I talked about how many participants are required. Moderna and Pfizer, they have Moderna, I think, had about 30,000 people, and that's before phase 2. That's before phase 3. That was in phase 1 and phase 2. And then in phase 3, they just ramped it up more. So there's a lot more people than required. So remember that, FDA only requires up to, I think, 300 people. 100 to 300 people on phase 2, and in phase 3 only up, it's only required to have 3,000 people. And Moderna and Pfizer has had more than 25,000 people in their clinical trial. So I guess in the essence, what I'm saying is, if they say that it's their efficacy is 95% or 94% or 93%, it's based off on those number of people. So again, the vaccine is only intended so that way it will protect you, and that's why we have the emergency authorization use right now. So that way, even though it's only Pfizer that has that approval right now, the Moderna and other types of vaccine can still be used. Okay, so the other thing that I want to make sure I cover, looking at my notes over here, make sure that I read this right so I don't. So even with the variants that I talked about a little bit ago, even though the virus would continue to mutate because they have to survive, they're just smart like that. They keep on developing themselves. Even though they are gonna continue mutation, the current vaccines that we have right now seem to still be effective on those new variants, on the alpha, beta, gamma, delta, eta, and iota. So those are the variants that we have currently on record, and people who receive the vaccine continue to have less risk of contracting the virus. They continue to be highly effective in preventing hospitalization or hospitalization or like very severe infection. And I guess even if they have, the vaccinated people, even if they have infection from COVID-19, it appears to be shorter and milder than it would be if they didn't have the vaccine, compared to the people who did not have the vaccine. And I guess that those are information that's out there. Like I said, I'm just sharing those information with you, and I'm hoping that you would find value in it. If you do, just if you have any questions, just let me know. Put it in the comment, or also you can send me a private message on Facebook, or send me a message in my website at www.geripodkowa.com. If you have, don't worry, if you send me a message there, it's not gonna be sent out to people. It's just gonna be my team that's gonna see that message. Okay. All right. So I hope that I shared some information with you guys, and I feel like I talked too much. So I talked too fast because I'm trying to get the words out that's coming in my mind, and I wanna make sure that I say it, completely and accurately too. If I missed anything, and if something, put it in the feedback. Make sure that you just put it in the comment below. And again, I hope you learned something from it. And again, it's your decision. It's up to you whether you want to get vaccinated or not. You're advocating for yourself and for your family, so you definitely want to ask questions. You definitely want to find the answers, and when you find the answers, I hope you make the right decision. All right, that's all from me today, and I hope you have a great day and have a blessed day, everyone.